Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm back in Minecraft again for take two, and yeah, today probably a lot more landscaping. I'm hoping I can actually get onto like laying the main foundations for the orchard, so that means I don't have to call this episode landscaping again. Also got a lot of questions and stuff to go through today. You guys have really been sending in a lot, so yeah, that's been really nice to see. So yeah, I might as well get started on this. So yeah, I'm hoping that I won't be like talking for too long how my week's been, because I've got a lot to get through, some from the Power Wash Simulator one as well, which I didn't manage to get to last time. So essentially, I mean, it's mainly just going to be like filling in this bit probably, and then I'll probably start like digging out some of this section here to actually start the orchard, but then I might still have to like, you know, kind of flatten down some of these mountains. I imagine it's going to kind of go like longer than this bit here, so yeah, let's get started on it. Ow, that hurt. Right, so yeah, let's get me shovel and get going. But yeah, I've had loads of responses and stuff and questions. Also on the last Alton Towers vlog I did, thank you for all the people who watched that. Yeah, it got like 100 views within like 24 hours, which, I mean, for me, you know, obviously for most people that's probably, you know, small, but for me, you know, yeah, that's a lot. So thanks for that. And also got like 3 subscribers from it, so that's great. In fact, no, I think I got 4 actually. Yeah, I got an extra one afterwards. Yeah, 4 subscribers from it, which is great. So yeah, thank you everyone. So how have things been? Well, last week I had a bit of a relapse, which wasn't fun. But weirdly, it wasn't for like bad reasons in a way. It was mainly because of changing schedule. Really, you know, I was at Alton Towers on the Tuesday, and I went to Bolton on the Wednesday to go and see Little Shop of Horrors on the stage. And yeah, I think it's just that kind of like changing schedule, not being able to like follow the behavioral activation. I mean, it just shows how much the behavioral activation's helped in a way, because like when it's not there, yeah, I kind of fall back down very easy. It's also the fact that I was trying to get in some sleep techniques, mainly trying to get like in a wind down in the evening. So essentially from like, normally I try and like get to bed for like 10 o'clock now, and so at 9 o'clock, like basically finishing off whatever I'm doing, and then basically kind of going away from all scratch. I just realised, was that something in that kit? Hold on. It's a shame I don't have like a telescope. I can just see something in that. I think it might be some of that like, I can't remember what it's called now, but it's like this stuff you find in caves. It's like kind of a lit up like kind of like plant or something that grows on rocks, so it's that thing there. I think it's not anything important. For some reason I thought it was diamonds. Like, yeah, I would have been so lucky if that was diamonds. Kind of not having that schedule in a way, and not having, you know, those things that I kind of really rely on now, like, yeah, it really did affect me. But in a way that does show that it's working. In a way it does show that the behavioural activation does help, and when it's not there, then yeah, it's yeah, it can be quite detrimental. But yeah, so I think still after that I'm probably going to need some like counselling. So I've actually been speaking with my therapist, because we're kind of getting to, I don't think we're like on the last session next week, when I have my next session. I don't think that's going to be the last session. I still think I've got a few after that, but we're kind of getting into the point now of kind of planning next steps and stuff like that. And yeah, and I've kind of mentioned that I think that counselling might be the best thing, but there's basically like a kind of consolidation period of like 3 months where they suggest you don't like look for any therapy. It's essentially like to put in the techniques that I've already learned and stuff like that, and then get back in touch with probably getting back in touch with IAPT, I'd imagine. But yeah, but the other thing that kind of didn't help last week as well was that I played LEGO Dimensions on the Monday night, and so I was going to try and do the wind down for the first time. I thought, oh, you know, this level might take like half an hour, because like it's not necessarily at 9 o'clock that the wind down can start. It can be like any time after that, just as long as I get like at least like half an hour without screens before bed. You know, it gives me some time to like, you know, get ready, brush my teeth, stuff like that. But I thought, oh, you know, it was the Doctor Who level on LEGO Dimensions, and I was I was doing it on free play, you know, with like the free play characters and stuff. I thought, oh, you know, this is only going to take like half an hour. No, it took like an hour and 10 minutes, and so then I was up like way past my bedtime, and yeah, that really screwed me up. And then the next day I was at Alton Towers with Joe, and so yeah, that was a long day, and don't get me wrong, great day. Like, it was really nice to see Joe again. And yeah, it was just a really chill, quiet day on Park, and so that was great. But at the same time, it kind of messed up my schedule because it's like, I wasn't able to do any like recording or anything like that, or I think it's also a problem. It's not necessarily stuff that's on the behavioural activation schedule. It's sometimes, for example, like, even though I've been at Alton Towers all day and I enjoyed myself and I had a good time, it's still like I didn't manage to do any gaming in the evening. I didn't manage to watch any TV. It's like, if I can't do those things, it feels like I haven't achieved enough during the day. Well, not necessarily achieved enough, but like I haven't done enough of the things I want to do during the day, and so then that makes me feel like I need to stay up later to do that, and then yeah, that can just ruin my sleep cycle massively. And then on the Wednesday, I woke up later, so I missed out, having a shower, having a shave, all that stuff in the morning. Then went up to Bolton to go and see Little Shop of Horrors, and then on the Thursday I had the Fit Note call, or the call that could have come in. Fortunately, there wasn't a call that came in, it's just my GP texted me. But for some reason I had to collect the Fit Note from the practice this time. Last time they emailed it over, but yeah, so I had my dad to collect it for me. So I had that stress on the Thursday morning of like, oh, is a call going to come in or not? And yeah, so that pretty much like took me out of it all morning. And then on the Friday, I tried to get back into some of the behavioural activation, but then on the Saturday, some stuff happened. There was like, I got a letter about my, basically because I'm getting Fit Notes and stuff, it means that I have to go to an assessment to basically like assess my needs and stuff like that, see if my universal credit needs, increasing or not or whatever. But I specifically put on the questionnaire that I filled out for that I didn't want it to be an over-the-phone appointment because I don't like phone calls, as you might be able to tell. But they put it as a phone appointment, and so I emailed back to, say, hey, is it possible to get an in-person appointment? I don't know also if they're going to respond to that email, because I think it was also that they wanted you to do it as a phone call if you have any queries like that, and it's like, I'm trying to avoid having phone calls, or that's the point of me getting in touch with you. But I think because we've also had a bank holiday as well, it might take a bit longer for that email to come through. But I've got like, I think like a couple of weeks, so I should, or I think it might be next week, so I think it might be good. But I mean, if not, I'll just have to have the phone call. But yeah, I mean, at least they've actually given me like a kind of time, yeah, kind of like a time that it could come through. So that's, at least that's better than not. But yeah, I'd obviously prefer that they didn't do it as a phone call. But yeah, so I had that stress as well on the Saturday and just a few other things. And so yeah, so it's been very kind of hard to like keep all like the behavioural activation stuff in. But this week I'm starting off a bit stronger, which is good. Yeah, yesterday, luckily, because of like putting up the post for like asking for the questions and stuff like that, and the comments, it means that I don't record on that day because I kind of leave it a day to get all the responses from that. But the good thing is that means that I didn't really have as much of my schedule yesterday, so that gave me more time to just take time having a shower, take time having a shave. I actually just shaved during my wind down in the evening, which yeah, kept me busy for that. So yeah, so that worked a bit better yesterday, and then today, yeah, I managed to do everything so far that I need to do. Obviously I'm recording in the morning as well, which means it's out of the way. Could maybe get some editing done this afternoon. So yeah, I'm hoping that this week I can actually get things back on track a little bit. I've also taken off the walking for this week's activities as well, just because I feel like I really want to get the sleep stuff in, because I think part of the problem as well is just that I have very low energy, and so I feel like getting the sleep stuff into effect would really help boost the energy levels a little bit, which just makes it much easier to actually do more of those activities. So I think for the rest of this week, try and get the wind downs in the evening, and I'm thinking next week I might try and make the goal of trying to actually get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, because like I set my alarm for 7 and I might be awake at 7, but then I might not get out of bed till like 8, so that wastes like an hour. So maybe like give myself like maybe 15 minutes at most, and then try and get up, try and like have had breakfast by like 8 o'clock, and then from 8 o'clock I could start recording, start editing. It gives me that extra hour in the morning, or if it's if it's one of like the hygiene days, I can like have a shower at that point. It gives me just that extra time in the morning, which is really helpful. So yeah, hopefully I can continue this over the week and hopefully be successful, which would be good. So yeah, with the stuff that happened last week, there was obviously Alton Towers. It was a very last minute trip because it was just simply because Joe was going. It's like I haven't seen Joe in ages, and yeah, I really missed him a lot, and it was great to see him again. He also gave me some Bodmin Jail little pamphlet leaflets, which I'll just plug that again here now. Definitely go to I think it's bodminjail.org if you want to go to any of like the Bodmin Jail events, or even just, as I say, the museum itself is already enough. Like, it's just a great attraction. Like, Joe and the team there, they just do an amazing job with it. So yeah, go and definitely check it out. So they have the main kind of thing that I'd love to try when I'm next there is the lights out scare attraction that they've added. Yeah, that's hopefully going to be really fun. And as I say, from some of the things that I've seen and heard about it, like for example, like they've got like a 7-foot animatronic in there, like, which I had no idea, which is crazy. And yeah, so it's just really cool. And yeah, I'm hoping maybe next year, possibly trying to get up there and yeah, experience all the other stuff as well. Like, I haven't done any of the paranormal evenings yet. I did do the ghost walk. I was actually on the very first one, which was great because yeah, just to kind of give it a bit of a test on that first evening. But yeah, it was really awesome to go to that. And I believe there's some changes that have been made to it. It's kind of less kind of actor-led, more of like a history tour with bits of kind of like spooky paranormal stuff in there. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure if Joe's doing it, it'll be great. Or even any of the other kind of like guides that I've seen work there, they all seem great. But yeah, Joe, obviously, he's great too. But yeah, it was really good to see him on the Tuesday. Yeah, just really chill day, really chill morning as well. Yeah, and just like editing through the vlog, just so many funny moments, which is great. And yeah, like, even though like we hadn't like seen each other in like nearly a year, like still, it's just good that we still kind of have that good connection, which is nice. So yeah, I believe I might be seeing him maybe June time. It all depends with the jail and stuff. It's like things, sometimes he has to get called in last minute and stuff, and so yeah, and he might possibly stay over here, which means yeah, we're planning on possibly doing like a Bagpuss marathon, because he's never like properly watched through it before. I think it's only the stuff on Scare Seekers that he's seen when we did the episode. I think it was episode 5, reacting to some like clips and stuff, and I showed some Bagpuss clips there. So I don't think he's seen a lot of it, and so yeah, it would be really cool just to like watch through and me get traumatized and see what he thinks of it. I don't know. But yeah, that was fun, and yeah, it was just as I say, nice chill day. I also got I'll try and show this properly as well because it was in the sun too much on the camera. But yeah, I got the new Nemesis Reborn pin. I've been waiting to get this one because yeah, it like went out of stock, but I believe they've now got a new stock of them as well. So if you want to go and get it, I would definitely would. But they've also added like a vein mug as well, which I saw it on socials. I was like, God damn it, Towers, you're making me spend more money. But yeah, there's that. There's also like the Scarecrow doll thing, which I've seen in person now. It looks all right. I think the thing I like about it most is it's quite like a nice soft material in a way. So yeah, but I think I'll definitely have to get it. Like, it's a curse thing. I'll definitely have to get that. And yeah, just like really good ride availability on the day. I think Nemesis Reborn was kind of like on and off in a way, but yeah, I still managed to get a ride on at the end. A pretty good ride at the end of the day. It was front row, like middle seat. I think it was like, as I say, if you're going like left to right, it was like seat 3. And yeah, it was pretty comfortable, I'd say. I don't really think there was much head bashing, though I did notice the rattle. The rattle was there, and it was around the entire ride, because I think I saw Nikki from Lush Velvet Coasters. She said on Twitter, like, I think she literally went the next day as well because it was her birthday, I think. Happy birthday, Nikki, by the way. She's probably not watching this, but happy birthday for then. But yeah, I think she literally went the next day, and yeah, she said about the rattle as well. She must have been on the same train I was, but it was literally, it wasn't just at the end, it was around the entire ride, and it wasn't like, it wasn't necessarily like detrimental in any way. Like, it didn't like make the ride experience rough or anything like that. It's just you notice this rattle quite a bit, and it kind of had like a little bit of a shake with it. But yeah, you know, it was still a solid ride. You know, probably not the best. You know, like, you know, I think it's smoother. Honestly, like row 7 was really smooth. Row 7 middle seat, real smooth.
Real smooth.
So I'd say probably that's the smoothest, but you know, it was still, you know, solid ride on it. And yeah, good to get back on like 13 as well. That was a really nice ride to get back onto. Yeah, everything working pretty well with that. I remember though, there's a bit which, if when I do my next reference footage video, you'll probably notice there's a bit where I was going through the queue line taking some reference footage. And there was no one in the queue line at that point, but then the screen went off and it actually made me jump, because yeah, I wasn't expecting it. And I think it's also just the fact that, yeah, not really many people being there. I don't know, maybe feeling a little bit more self-conscious about filming and stuff. But yeah, you know, always solid ride on 13. Also Oblivion, great to get back on that. It was really cool because I actually got 2 rides on it, just because 5-minute queue, but also I just had a really good first ride in it because the restraint was looser on it as well. But I decided when the drop, well, to be honest, like through the whole thing, but especially when the drop happened, just to let go. Like, I didn't hold on or anything, and just kind of like the weightlessness that you get off it, so cool. Like, and especially when like the harness isn't fully in place, like it's just, yeah, so cool to get that weightlessness when going down. So yeah, so that was a really good ride on Oblivion as well. And yeah, just overall really nice chill day on park. Also saw some Project Ocean construction. I've also been seeing on social media that they've really started to add stuff to this like survival game structure outside the back of Curse. They've now added like a little path going up from like the toilets of Gloomy Wood. And yeah, there's like, you know, concrete kind of foundations now in place. So yeah, they're definitely starting. I think they're just waiting for the planning permission to be approved, and then they're going to start. And that's kind of something that I really like as well, because again, I feel like a lot of people, like, you know, kind of with a lot of the stuff that Bianca Sammet's been doing, they've been saying like, oh, well, you know, the park wasn't that great to begin with, so it's not that big of a deal. But it's like, I feel like she should still be praised, like, because I think she is doing some really good work. And I think the fact that Project Ocean has started construction so soon, the fact that you know, these scare maze construction things, people are saying like the facility buildings, they're scare mazes. Like, they wouldn't make it the shape of survival games if it wasn't going to be a scare maze. I think during the season, when they're not being used as a scare maze, it could be used as like storage or something like that, or like a facilities building. But I think they are going to be scare attractions, like, and just the fact that this has all happened so quick, and like, you know, despite Hex having a bit of a delay from the start of the season, it's looking like that might be coming out soon. I mean, I saw that there was a post of a new keyring that's been added to Towers Trading, which has one of the Hex stained glass windows, and there's like some new theming near the disabled entrance as well for Hex, where there's like, you know, some new like stained glass window bits. There's like a new TV screen. I think we'll be getting Hex soon. I think we could be getting it like over the summer. I was thinking possibly Scarefest, but I think possibly like over the summer, maybe like June, July time, I think we could be getting it. So, yeah, you know, I think just the speed that a lot of this is happening, like the ambition that kind of Bianca seems to have, I can't really complain about it. I think, you know, I think she's doing a really good job with it. And, yeah, good on her. And also, she just seems really nice. Like, you know, whenever I've seen her, like, in talks and stuff, she just seems really nice. So yeah, anyway, good day at Towers. I think I said like on a post on Twitter as well, it's just like nice to have like a perfect day where it was like no depression affecting me, just, you know, really chill. The one thing I will say is they need to get a more regular bus service, and that's one thing I would say, Bianca, get a better bus, well, not a better bus service, just more regular. You know, we need more buses throughout the day, and you know, because Thorpe do it, you know, they do it as like first hour and last hour of the day they have regular ones, and then throughout the day it's like each hour of the day. Like they need to do that, and especially for like events where the park's open later, have later buses, because otherwise I believe the buses literally are only at 5:40. That's the last bus you can get. So yeah, they really need to get more regular buses there. But yeah, you know, apart from that, really great day, because I had to wait. Like, the problem is because the park like closed at 4, and I was literally the last one on Curse. Yeah, I had to wait like a hour or so, like an hour and 40 for the bus to come. So yeah, it would be nice if they had more regular ones. But yeah, apart from that, really nice day on Park. And yes, I think I'll do another solo trip at the end of May just to, like, you know, have a really nice chill day. And then yeah, then I don't know, it depends in June, because I know there's like a couple of attraction source events. I know there's one at Drayton Manor, so I'll see if I can try and make it to that. But yeah, I mean, the good thing is Towers is relatively easy for me to get to. Like, you know, the most I'll have to spend is maybe like you know, train ticket, bus ticket, and even then sometimes like my dad's willing to like give me a lift to Hanley, so that means I only have to get the bus there and back, which is great. But yeah, so overall, really solid. I just kind of don't want to keep talking about Alton Towers because I know I have a lot of the questions to get through, and I also want to talk about the next thing that happened, which was a Little Shop of Horrors, which I went to go and see on the Wednesday at the Octagon in Bolton. So Bolton's where I used to go to uni. I used to go to the University of Bolton to do special effects. Oh, what fun that was. I think it's a good course. I think it's just, by the time I was doing it, I'd lost passion for all the special effects stuff, so I kept myself on the course because I wanted to get a degree out of it. Which I actually got a degree without honours because I failed the last project, so that was fun. So I had to get like an exit award instead. But yeah, I mean, if you want, I guess weirdly it's like a random tangent plug to University of Bolton. But yeah, if you want to do a special effects course, I'd definitely recommend doing the one at University of Bolton. It is a very good course. I think, yeah, I'd lost the passion for it at that point. But anyway, yeah, so I used to go to uni there, and I'd walk past the Octagon like loads of times. It's literally like a theatre that is like the shape of an octagon. And yeah, it was like just really nice to go there. I actually got oh, hold on, I don't have it on me, I'll have to go and get it a second.
A few moments later.
This just shows how ill prepared I am. I was meant to prepare this, but yeah, I got when I got to my seat, I got this. I don't know how well that's going to show up on camera. Yeah, it was like a thing on the back of my seat with like a little message on the back which said, "A warm welcome to the Octagon Theatre. According to our records, this is the first time you have seen a show with us. Please don't hesitate to speak to a member of our team if there is anything we can do to add some extra magic to your trip today. Enjoy the show. Best wishes, the Octagon team." Which I just think was just like really nice to, have that little welcome like for my first visit there, which was really cool. And the staff were all really nice. I believe they're all volunteers as well. And like one of the staff who actually who was like, kind of showing people to the seats. She actually came up to me and then like had a nice little conversation with me and stuff. And yeah, that was really nice. And yeah, the thing I like about the Octagon as well is that like the stage is actually like on the floor. So essentially it's got like seats to like the left, the right, and like the front, kind of facing towards the stage. So it's got like seats all the way around the stage. But also the stage is kind of on the floor. It's not kind of like raised up, which means it feels like the performer's like right in front of you, especially with me being on like row 2. Yeah, it was like really cool to have that. So yeah, it's just a really cool little theatre as well. And yeah, I mean, with the show itself, I thought it was a pretty good performance of it. The problem is I can't remember. There was obviously like the youth theatre one, which I talked about in... was it the last Power Wash Simulator one? I can't remember. It was one of the Power Wash Simulator ones. I think it was the last one. And there was the Youth Theatre Performance one, which I remember. But the first one I saw, like the first proper production of it, yeah, I don't really remember much about it, so I can't really judge like whether this is my favourite performance of it. But there were certain things in it. I think because it was more of an independent performance, still a really good. Like it wasn't like really like cheap or anything like that. Like it was a very good performance of it. It's just I believe it was residents of Bolton who actually like put it together and stuff. But it made it have some unique elements to it. So obviously with it being in the Octagon, I say the stage itself is already unique in that way. But then also the fact that like the three like urchin characters, the three characters like the main like chorus of the musical, they were actually, they had certain actors who actually played some of the instruments as well, and those three played instruments as well, but while they were singing and performing. So like, because before the show started, I saw like, you know, like a keyboard on the stage, like, oh, they're gonna have one of the musicians down there, but it's because the three urchins, like two of them are on like guitars, like one's on bass, one's just like on normal electric, and then the other one's on the keyboard. And it's like, so while they're performing, they're actually performing the music as well. And because it had like the guitars as well, it added that like extra bit to the music, which I feel like it wouldn't normally have, which was really cool. Like, it was just a really cool little additive thing. And it added a little bit of that, as I keep saying, immersion. Like, you know, the fact that, oh, where's the music coming from? Well, the urchins are playing it while they're performing, you know, like, it adds just that little bit to it. Also, I believe like there was like when the dentist wasn't on stage, the actor who played him was up top playing guitar as well. Also at the end, so there's the song from the film version, Mean Green Mother from Outer Space, which wasn't in the original musical. It was essentially a song that was written for the film version. Yeah, so it usually doesn't appear in the musical, but what they did at the end was, when like everyone came out for like, you know, taking bows and stuff like that, they actually sang Mean Green Mother from Outer Space, and the guy who did the voice of Audrey 2 came out in like a big green suit, and the puppeteer as well came out of Audrey, came out of Audrey 2, yeah. Yeah, they performed Mean Green Mother from Outer Space, which is just so cool to have that, because it is like a really good song, you know, even though it was, you know, it was basically literally, I believe it was literally made just so that means they could win an award for like best original song for the movie. But yeah, you know, it's a really good song, like a really good kind of like feel good song to end the performance on. But anyway, but that kind of showed that for example, like the guy who played Mr. Mushnick, he could like play on the keyboard as well, and you know, the guy who was the puppeteer for the Audrey 2 plant, he played the guitar as well. You know, like, it's just cool that they had like kind of like multiple abilities, which is really cool. Like, they didn't just perform, they also could play instruments as well, which I just think is really cool, and again, just kind of makes it a little bit more unique. But yeah, you know, the performance overall was really good. I think I did prefer the first half to the second half, and I don't think this is necessarily a problem with the performers themselves. I think it's possibly more of a problem with the live show itself, which I feel like in the second half it becomes a little bit more goofy in a way, and I think that's to kind of add a bit of levity, because, you know, the show has some dark themes to it. You know, it has a man-eating plant that kills people, you know, it has like, you know, murder and stuff like that, and it, you know, it does have some very dark themes to it. And so I feel like some of the you know, some of the acting and some of the performance becomes a little bit goofy in that second half. While in the first half, they take themselves a little bit more seriously. But I don't really think that's necessarily a problem with the actors and the performance. I think that's just more of a problem with the musical itself, like the musical version of it. I mean, it's probably the reason why there was two different endings for the film, because with the film version, God, this is going to go into a tangent on itself, but essentially there was the original version which followed the musical version, which, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Little Shop of Horrors, but the original ending to the movie followed the musical version, where Audrey gets eaten by Audrey 2, so Audrey's the love interest in the film, Audrey 2's the big plant. Audrey gets eaten by the plant, and she gets like basically like a mortal wound, and then Seymour, she tells Seymour to feed her to the plant, and there's a really nice reprise of Somewhere That's Green. It's lovely, really emotional. And then Seymour tries to fight the plant afterwards, when he realizes that the plant wants like world domination, stuff like that. Then Seymour gets eaten by the plant, and then the plant gets cuttings taken off it. Then gets sold around the world. There's a load of like mini Audrey 2s, bigger than hula hoops, yeah, and then, you know, there's like a big scene at the end, like, you know, of the plants, like, you know, taking over America and stuff like that. And there were like some really cool like model shots and stuff made specifically for that ending. But then when test audiences saw that ending to the film, they didn't like it, because I feel like because of that idea that you know, with the live musical version, they add a little bit more levity to the second half, where it's like a little bit more goofier, a little bit more comedy heavy and stuff like that, to add that levity to those moments. Even in the moments like where the deaths do happen near the end, like of Seymour and Audrey, they give it a little bit more kind of humor to it, while in the film it's played much more straight, but I feel like that gives it more emotion, it gives it more impact, which is good. But yeah, test audiences didn't like that. I think it's also Frank Oz, the director of the film, said that another reason was that the fact that the actors don't like take a bow at the end. It's like once they're dead in the film, they're dead, and so it has more of that kind of like, you know, kind of somber impact in a way with it. But I kind of prefer that, to be honest. Like, you know, I originally didn't like that original ending. I much preferred the theatrical one, but then actually watching it a lot more, it is just a really good, impactful ending, you know, and then the theatrical version eventually was that Audrey doesn't die from her wounds. Seymour defeats the plant by like electrocuting it, and then they live happily ever after on the kind of like estate, whatever that Audrey dreams of in somewhere that's green. And yeah, they live happily ever after. But then there's like a little like shot to like a little Audrey 2 plant in their garden, which is the same prop that's used in the scene where like the salesman's asking Seymour about getting cuttings and stuff. There's like a little plant that he holds in that. So I think that was just wanting like a little reuse of that plant. Anyway, that was a long tangent. But yeah, so it kind of like, my point is like, it's kind of like, I feel like those bits try and add some levity to it, which I really wish it didn't have. I really wish it went dark with it and just keeps it dark, keeps it somber. You can still have some funny moments, like with some dark, twisted humour, but I just feel like the levity doesn't really work, and it makes it come off a little bit more goofy and a bit too comical when I want to kind of like, you know, like when Audrey dies, for example, I didn't really have that emotion to it. Like, I had the emotion in the first half when she was singing like Somewhere That's Green, but not really in the second half when she dies. So yeah, I kind of, again, if I was to do it, I'd want to keep that kind of level of realism. I think the other thing as well was like with the dentist character, again, they make him a bit too goofy in the musical. Then again, like, you know, Steve Martin's portrayal of him in the film, still a little bit goofy, but I think there's still a little bit of threat to him. Again, this is the thing of, if I was to do it myself, if I was to do the dentist in the musical, I would want him to have that threat still and make him a really threatening character, but then whenever he sings, he goes full out and like really like over the top, but then in other scenes he's like really gruff and like threatening, but then when he sings he just like goes full out with it. That would be like a really nice contrast in a way. And almost kind of make him more unhinged, I feel like make him more of kind of like an unhinged character, where it's like there's genuinely kind of like some brain damage going on up there. Yeah, I think that would make it really cool. I think also the plant looked good. It looked good enough, certainly better than the youth theatre performance one that I saw, but I think you could tell there was a little bit of a budget on it, which, you know, like, again, like, you know, if this was done with like an independent group, then yeah, you know, like, I think it looked solid enough. It was puppeteered well, and the thing I really liked about it was that during the scenes where it wasn't speaking, or during like the interval and stuff like that, the puppeteer in the plant was still in it, and that means, oh, hello. Don't interrupt me, Lightning, how dare you. But yeah, the guy in the plant was still in there, the puppeteer, which means that he was moving during the interval. And so, yeah, you know, that was like really cool, again, just to keep that level of immersion up where, yeah, you know, the plant was still moving, you know, it's still alive that whole time, which, and even in the scenes before the plant, you know, starts like talking and stuff, yeah, you know, he was still moving around and stuff, which was great. So yeah, I really like that. The set was great as well, really nice quality of the set. The music was really good. There was even like a jump scare in Now It's Just the Gas, which is like the dentist kind of like, it's a song that's not in the movie, but it's the song where basically like the dentist slowly dies. But there was actually a really good jump scare with it, where like where like he stops singing, you think he's dead, and he waits a really good amount of time, and then he pops back up and starts singing again, which was just, and there was actually there was an older woman sitting next to me, and like she didn't really, you know, she wasn't very talkative to start with, but then when that jump scare happened, she just looked at me and smiled and stuff, which was, it was just lovely. And speaking of people I was sitting next to as well, like during the interval I started, you know, talking with as I said, there was an older woman next to me and a guy next to me as well. Yeah, you know, we started talking about stuff in the interval, and then it turns out that guy just casually name dropped that apparently he was the director of the Terrifier films, which that was shocking. I mean, especially since I'm part of like a scare podcast. Like, yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the Terrifier films and stuff, but I mean, the problem is I couldn't find who he was. I couldn't like find him on IMDb afterwards. Like, I looked, apparently he said he was the producer of the Terrifier films, but then again, there are multiple producers for that film, and there's different types of producers. There's executive producers, there's associate producers, there's just normal producers. So I couldn't find him on IMDb. So he might have not been telling the truth. I'm not sure, but when he was talking, he seemed to know what he was talking about. He also said that apparently, like, he appeared in one of the Omen films, one of like the original ones from the 80s. So I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it was cool to talk with him, and yeah, he was, it was really kind of insightful and stuff. And yeah, we were talking about like some of those like kind of not spoof, is it like these kind of like properties where like the rights have now like become public domain, like with Winnie the Pooh, Bambi, now Steamboat Willie and stuff. Those films and stuff that are coming out, like is it like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, I think, and stuff like that. Yeah, so we were talking about those like kind of like knockoff films and stuff. And yeah, and Owen, he also told me to go and see what was it? Miss Saigon. I think yeah. He told me to go and see that because apparently that's great. Apparently like a helicopter going over the audience or something. I've never seen it. It's yeah. I've got loads of musicals that I probably need to catch up on. Loads of things I just need to catch up on, to be honest. But yeah, overall really good experience watching Little Shop of Horrors. Definitely would recommend going and seeing that version. Like, even though I have a few little criticisms of it. I'm picky. But yeah, it's still a really, really good, solid performance. And again, especially since it's done by like an independent group, and I believe like they take like, I believe there is like a donation thing. I'm not sure whether like they said something about like taking donations at the end of it, and so I don't know whether that helps like fund the performance or something. But yeah, really good performance, and like with the Octagon itself, really nice, really comfortable seats and stuff. I'd say really nice little welcome card and stuff. Also, it was kind of cool as well. So I did a phone order for like my food. I got like a little ice cream and a Pepsi for the interval. And so I ordered it for the interval, but then it said to go up to the bar to go and get it. And then I asked I said, I've got this online order. Said, oh yeah, it's over there. And then pointed behind me, and it was literally just like on the side, so it would like a little thing. So so next time I go, I know that, hey, look on the side there, because I can literally just then pick up my order without any human interaction whatsoever, which would be great. So yeah, just overall, just nice little theatre, and nice performance, and yeah, everyone just really nice and friendly, It felt like very homegrown in a way, considering pretty much, everyone was from Bolton that was in the production. So, yeah, really good, really solid. Really good show. Right, so I feel like I should now stop talking about all that stuff because I'm already like 40 minutes into this. So I think what I might do now is start not asking. I'm not going to ask you questions. I might ask you questions. I don't know. But start answering some of the viewer questions that have come in. So I've got a couple from last time which I didn't have time to answer. Because I got cocky with Power Wash Simulator and thought, I'd have enough time to answer this, and just talked about all my ideas for scare mazes. So so I've got a couple from last time, and I've got loads that came in for this one. So I'll see if I can try and get through all of them. I've got like an hour and like 20 minutes. So, if I go up to 2 hours, so we'll see. Anyway, so this one came in from NGL. So you can either respond to the post that I put up, or and also like if you want to like add any to the video comments, by the way, and just say like this is a question that you want being answered in one of the videos, you can put it in the comments of any of the videos. That's fine. Or I can answer it in the comments for you if you want. Either way. But yeah, you can either like respond to the post that I put up, or I have NGL, which is essentially like a thing where you can submit anonymously, which means if you don't want your name read out, you can do that. So the first question is again, it's 2 questions. Some people put multiple questions, which I'm fine with. Gives more content. So the first question is, what is your favourite horror film? Which is very difficult for me to answer because I haven't really seen many. The thing is, I really like scare attractions, but I'm a wimp with most other things. So, scary movies and stuff like that, I'm really bad with. Or like scary video games, as we could tell with like Night of the Living Robot, me attempting to do Welcome to Bob's Burgers. So yeah, I'm not really very good with many scary movies. I can tell you some of the ones I've watched. I've watched like Woman in Black. I watched like all the Woman in Black ones mainly for Scarcity because I like them. I liked Angel of Death surprisingly better than the first Daniel Radcliffe one. I just found the story interesting, and yeah, I mean, some of the kids are a bit annoying, but I kind of like that one. Again, wouldn't really say it's my favourite necessarily. Then I've watched like the It films, like the original 1980s It, and like It Chapter 1 and 2. It Chapter 1 I liked. It Chapter 2 I liked for all the wrong reasons. It was kind of like a so bad it's good film. It was just the effects were awful, and just some of the directions they took it were just terrible, but I was laughing my head off throughout. Which was great. In fact, I remember when I went to see it, I was having like a really bad day at that point, and just going to see it really cheered me up, which was awesome. So yeah, and again, it was like kind of some of those jump scares were like, you know, I kind of laughed when they came up, because it was like, yeah, like it was one of those movies though where I had kind of like my hands like in front of my eyes for some of them, because yeah, I'm a wimp. And yeah, I mean, God, I'm trying to think of like any other horror films. I mean, obviously, like Little Shop of Horrors, if we're going to count that as a horror film, I mean, it's my favourite musical, and I do really love the film version. Are we going to count that as a horror film? I don't know. I mean, I guess the scariest film I've seen, which isn't really a horror film, is Threads, which, if you've seen, like, the Hat Green vlog that I did, or you've seen one of the Power Wash Simulator ones where I talked about a lot of nuclear war stuff, or you listen to the Scare Seekers Hat Green video. No, podcast, sorry, not video. Yeah, you would have heard me talk about Threads. It's essentially probably the best depiction of nuclear war in film. And I think it's probably the most scary film I've still not seen, not because it has like many jump scares or anything. It's just because it's really real. Like, I know a lot of people say like kind of like the second half of it when the bomb goes off, the kind of 13 years after, that's a bit sci-fi, but I don't know, I mean, it seems like it could be accurate. Like, the only thing that's not accurate about it is the fact that, you know, everyone would probably die instantly. But this is kind of a scenario, if people could somehow survive, what the effects on them would be, you know, how long it would take them to die, you know. And I think, yeah, it shows it pretty accurately, like, for the 1980s, and, like, the amount, because they did a lot of research for that film, you know, going into a lot of scientific research of what would happen. Yeah, you know, I just think it's a really harrowing film, and, like, you know, Joe saw it as well, and, like, he can attest as well. It is a terrifying film, but I would definitely recommend watching it. Like, if you're going to watch any nuclear war film, watch Threads at least once. Even if you're not looking to watch a nuclear war film, I think just watch it, because it really just show very well what nuclear war could do, and it's why we should never have a nuclear war. Like, it's really good, really shocking, terrifying, and really bleak as well, but I think it's really important. You know, I think it's a really important film. So I guess that's my favourite horror movie. I don't know, it's got some horror bits in it, you know, like, you know, it's got a lot of people injured, like the hospital scene. There's basically a hospital scene after the bomb goes off where it's like, you know, like a load of like almost like undead zombies in a way, kind of like, you know, just kind of like, you know, kind of, what's the word, like, you know, kind of slowly walking into this hospital, you know, kind of like trundling along in, and yeah, when you get in there, just like the sounds of screams, like you see like kids having like their, you know, like their limbs amputated and stuff, and like blood like trickling down the stairs and stuff, and then it just all goes really silent while you just see these like, you know, these really like, you know, they're still alive obviously, but like these almost like dead looking people, just like with no emotion, no like, you know, energy in them, just like, and just like silent pan across while this like really unnerving like, you know, voiceover goes on, because it's basically, it's meant to be like, it's a drama, but it's in the style of a documentary, where it's essentially like, it's almost like, you know, this is kind of like a documentary of what happened in a previous nuclear war and stuff. So you have this kind, you know, like little title cards go on the screen with like statistics and information telling you like how much time's passed. It's like, it says like 1 day after the bomb went off, 2 days, 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and then it goes all the way up to like 13 years after, with this like very kind of monotone voiceover. And yeah, it's just, it is, you know, really creepy, really sinister, really ominous, and really bleak as well. And yeah, terrifying. And I think just terrifying just for how real it is and how this could happen, you know. Only it would probably be much worse in real life. So, yeah, I'd probably say Threads. But that's very much a cop-out answer, because I haven't seen enough horror films. And so, yeah, I haven't seen any proper horror films. I need to watch some more. But yeah, I mean, I guess the actual horror films I've watched, Woman in Black ones, the It films, like It Chapter 1, 2, the original 1980s. Yeah, and Little Shop of Horrors, like, I can't really think of many others that I've seen, unfortunately, but yeah, Threads, go watch it. And then the next question from that same person was, are you going to any scare events this year? I can't believe you even need to ask that question. What are you looking forward to the most and why? So, yes, I will be going to some scare events this year. I mean, hopefully. I mean, I will definitely try and save some money up. I'll definitely be going to Scarefest. I have to go to Scarefest every year, especially Scaremazing as well, the Towers Times event. It's just a really good event every year. I have to make that one. But yeah, I'll probably go into Scarefest a few times, just because it's easy for me to get to. Really, the only thing I have to pay extra, luckily because I have my Merlin annual pass, luckily the only thing I really need to pay that's extra is the Scaremazes themselves. Obviously a bit of food while I'm on park. But yeah, you know, I'm hoping by that point I might at least have a job. It would be nice if I do. And then that means I'll have a bit more money to spend on those things. But yeah, I'll definitely be making Scarefest. I also have a ticket for Tully's Shocktoberfest, which I'll hopefully be going with Joe too. He's now set a date, so I'll put that on my calendar. Again, it just depends if I'm working at that point, because it is a weekday when he's planning on going. So yeah, I'll have to see if I'm free. I'll just try and like book the day off. I'll make sure that day's booked off, and or you know, a couple of days booked off, because I'll have to go. It's basically kind of like just outside of London, so yeah, I'll probably have to go down to London there. But the plan is that the thing is, because there is Thorpe Park Fright Nights as well, and I'll only be doing Thorpe Park Fright Nights if I have enough money to get the Thorpe Shark hotels. Because with the costume I'm doing this year, it's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of makeup with it. It's going to be quite an extravagant costume, and so yeah, I don't want to be like, you know, having to walk like to and from places, walk like on the London Underground in my costume. So I'd rather be on park, and then I can get changed and stuff in the hotel room. So maybe like go up the day before, go on park just in my normal outfit, and then for the days that I'm at Fright Nights, go in the costume, and then that just makes it much easier. But obviously the Thorpe Shark Hotel costs quite a bit, and I'd want to stay there for a few days, so yeah, it'd be quite a bit of money. So it's probably not going to happen this year, but with Tully's, the thing is, I know there's a cheap hotel, a pretty good, like, it's like a 4-star hotel. I think it's like what's it called? It's not an Ibis. It's called a Holiday Inn, I think, or like a hotel inn or something. I can't remember what it is. It's one of those brands which, but it has like 4 stars on it, so that's pretty good. And it's only like a 5-minute drive away, and it's relatively cheap. So yeah, I'll probably be going with that. And then, to be honest, with that, and then spending like a day in London the next day, would probably be a lot cheaper than like Thorpe Park Fright Nights with the accommodation combined, to be honest. So yeah, so I'll probably be doing that. So it'll probably be mainly Scarefest and Tully's. There is Burton Screamfest, which I've been hearing that there's some new stuff coming from certain sources. Yeah, I've been hearing that there's been some new stuff coming for it, which, if there's enough new stuff, I may do it if I have the money. You know, it would be nice to go and do it again, but it really all depends on money, and it really all depends if there's enough new stuff. Because last year, really the only new things were that Area 52, which was fun, but, you know, obviously it's not a proper scare attraction. It was more like a paintballing thing. And there was the Psycho Circus, which was more of just like a normal circus show, to be honest, but with a kind of like a dark twist to it, but wasn't really scare attraction or, you know, scare worthy really. So yeah, it really depends what they add. I believe there's some new management this year as well, with someone who I'm familiar with, and so I have some confidence that they might be adding some really new and fresh stuff this year, which would be good. So yeah, I'm really hoping that there's something new with it that can get me to go. I'm sure Aaron might want to go again, so maybe I might actually be able to vlog it this year as well. But yeah, if there's enough new stuff and I have the money spare to go to it, then yeah, I'll probably go. And if I do go, then that makes it way less likely that I'll go and do Thorpe Park Fright Nights. I mean, really, the only reason why I really want to go back to Fright Nights is, for one thing, if Crows and Walking Meadows back, but also to do Stitches again, because I don't really think I got to give it enough of a chance, because I only got to do it once last year, and it wasn't a great run, and obviously the mask debacle happened, so that made me feel shit for most of the day. So it's probably only going to be Scarefest a few times, probably for opening weekend, definitely like a visit before Scaremazing, and then Scaremazing itself, because I always like to try the attractions before going to Scaremazing. So that means, you know, if we do like behind the scenes tours and stuff, I already have an idea of what the attractions are going to be like. But to So yeah, maybe a couple of times to Scarefest, then Tully's, seeing how much money I have. I mean, luckily the ticket for Tully's has already been booked, and it's basically like it's like, I think it's like there's like 9 attractions there, and we've got 11 fast tracks, and on general entry you can go through the mazes as much as you want. So essentially the only ticketed things are if you get fast tracks. So we've got 11 fast tracks for the 9 mazes, so that's 1 fast track through each maze plus 2, so we can like choose a 2 favorite or whatever and go through them fast track, and then we could just keep doing some of them on general entry. And in a way, if I don't go to Thorpe Park Fright Nights, the good thing is it means we can get to Tully's earlier, and I can be more prepared, and I can like get into the costume during the day, like before, and then Joe can pick me up or whatever. I'm assuming he's able to pick me up, and then we can go there then. It's just a lot less stress, I guess, and it means we can spend more time at Tully's, which will be good. So yeah, I mean, I think that should do me, to be honest. Like a few visits to Scarefest. I mean, to be fair, Scarefest used to be the only event I would do. So, you know, I'm definitely okay to if I can do it like a few times. And then Tully's, maybe Burton Screamfest if I can. That was a very long-winded answer to that question. What time are we on? Still not up to an hour, so that's good. Okay, so, and the next question is, have I tried Screamfest? Which, yes, I have. Yeah, that's a very simple answer to that question, but I'll go into, like, you know, my kind of thoughts on it. I think it's a nice, quaint little event. Some of the scare attractions are good, but you can kind of tell it is on that budget. But, you know, some of the scare attractions are good. I mean, for the ones I've done, there's normally the one I start with is Hillbilly Joe's Zombie Zoo, which is just a fun maze. It's a nice little fun maze. Not too scary. There are some good scares in there, don't get me wrong, but it's not... You know, it is very much a family attraction. I love the pre-show in it as well, because it actually does build up a little bit of tension in a way, which is really good. It's essentially like you're in this like this little wooden room, and you hear this kind of like tannoy announcement, like saying "Welcome to Hillbilly Joe's Zombie Zoo," and yeah, it's just it's really cool with that. But yeah, it's just there are some good little scares in there. Really nice effects as well in some bits. Some really funny moments as well, which is always really nice in like a family maze. I would say actually it's more of a family maze than Darkest Depths. I think it really goes more for that family feel, and it's fun, but it also still has some good scares. So that's a good one. Then there's Love Hurts, which I think that's probably the best themed maze I've been through. Obviously, I don't have much of a repertoire. I'm sure that if I go to Tully's, I'm going to be blown away, because I know that's like the biggest scare event in Europe. I've seen things of like Doomtown. It looks amazing. But yeah, you know, from what I've done, Love Hurts, really well-themed maze. Again, for Burton Screamfest, it's a pretty well-themed maze. And yeah, again, some nice scares in there. But I love some of the theme. Like my favourite part of it is there's a bit where you kind of go down into this like laser mist bit, which is essentially where they put up some fog, and then there's some like lasers that they put over it, and then it kind of hides the actors under the fog. Which means then they can like jump up when you're not expecting it, which is brilliant. And just like going down into that area is just so good. There's also like a corridor where there's like a fan at the end of it, which is going along, and yeah, just some really nice theming in there. It does have a chainsaw ending, but you know, but it does build up suspense to that chainsaw ending, but you can tell it's coming. Even for like before you go in, you can tell it's coming. But like, even like in the queue line, the theming's great and stuff. So yeah, really nice maze that. Then there is, God, off the top of my head, because there's 5 mazes, isn't there? Because yeah, there's Insomnia and Creed Farm. Isn't there another one as well? God, I shouldn't be forgetting the other one. God, what is? Oh, Freak Out, of course. How could I forget Freak Out? Yeah, yeah. At first, kind of proper circus. I think I've never really done a proper circus maze, because even with Freak Out, essentially the storyline is that. It's Freak Out on tour at this point, which I think is like the sequel to the original Freak Out, and essentially it's like a the original was meant to be a scare maze, a circus scare maze in the storyline, and you're basically going back to like the burned down ruins of that scare maze. And yeah, you know, it's nice. I like the fact that it's got like a load of different ways you can go. Like some of the clown masks and stuff that some of the clowns wear are pretty cool. And the finale is always good as well. They normally have a clown who's he's got like a mask where it's like teeth on his eyes, and he's only like holding like a knife or something like that. But there's really good strobes in that section where it's like when he comes up to you, like it feels very like, you know, animated, which is what you always want on a strobe bit. But you know, Freak Out's a solid maze. I would say it's solid. and something like the Clown Master. There's like a really nice area as well where there's like a clown in a I say a nice area. It's a really cool area where there's like a clown in a cage that you have to walk around, but they have like a spark thing where like if they like kind of spark it against the cage, it kind of sparks. And so yeah, I said that's a nice area, but yeah, it's cool. Some really nice cool effects. And again, just there's a lot of like really good solid mazes at Burton Screamfest, which is really good. Then there's Creed Farm, which I think I had very high hopes for because I was hoping it was really going to be like an Altonville, which it sort of is. It's got a very similar storyline to Altonville, except it's like a family of like meat farmers, and yeah, it's all right. It's an outdoor maze as well. It actually takes place in like a corn maze in a way. I say in a way for a good reason, but I think that one of the best parts of it is that they have a blackout rope section, which if you don't know what that is, it's essentially like literally a pitch black section where you have to follow a rope, and it goes quite a long way away as well. But yeah, and then actors can be in there and jump out at you and stuff like that. But one really cool bit of it is that there's two separate ways you can go. So in the pre-show, they'll send one person off down one way, and then the rest of the group go down another. So essentially, the person who gets sent off on their own goes down the blackout section on their own, which is, it's a pretty cool little addition to it, which is really awesome. And I actually got sent down there that one time. The only thing was that they didn't have any actors down that section when I went, so yeah, that was a bit of a downside. And I think the thing with Creed Farm is I think it's very good on interaction, but it's not very good on scares is the problem. There's not many scares on it, it's more interaction. I would argue it's more like a scare zone than a scare maze. It's like a very long scare zone, but yeah, I mean, I like some of the theming of it. It's just it's very much like very much interaction, and it's very linear as well. Like I thought it was going to be in a literal corn maze where you have to find your way out, but no, it's a very linear path with like corn to the side of it. So yeah, I kind of wish it was, because in some of the teasers I think they actually have it in a corn maze. I think they have like a kids corn maze, so they might have filmed it in there. But yeah, so it's a bit of a shame that it isn't an actual corn maze, and as I say, there's not really many opportunities for scares. And obviously there's like a chainsaw finale. To be fair, in the first year they had like a machine gun bit at the end where it'd like shoot like air at you, which that was really cool. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, if I feel it suits more as a scare zone than as it would be a really good scare zone, but not really a great scare maze. I think it needs more scares for it to be a scare maze. And also, I wish it was in an actual corn maze, because that'd be cool. Like, you actually have to find your way out, and it would be much more claustrophobic as well, because the path is really wide on it. So yeah, that doesn't really help. It's what makes it feel more like a scare zone than a maze. And then finally, there's Insomnia, which it's a great maze. It's I think, as I said in the last video about what my second favourite maze was, I don't think any of the ones at Burton Screamfest beat Scarefest's mazes, but Insomnia is certainly a really good one. Like, just going from the pre-show to start, like the pre-show is like a walking pre-show where essentially as you're walking through the queue, you get this little girl Tabitha, and you go through some like scenes of her room, and essentially it's this little girl who keeps having nightmares about this character called Crackerjack, and yeah, essentially you just kind of see her get tormented. But in this pre-show, you'll have like bits with her and her mum where she interacts with you, like you're her imaginary friend in a way. And yeah, it's just really cool to get that interaction. And I always like doing kind of like yes and stuff with the actors. So yeah, and it's just really cool to have that as you're going through. And yeah, it's very well themed for Burton Screamfest. You can tell there is a certain level of budget with it. And I do actually remember last year in some of the scenes there was a bit of mould going into those sets, so yeah, you might want to try and fix that, Burton Screamfest. But yeah, it's still a really good maze, a lot of variety to it, because you're essentially kind of going through like Tabitha's nightmares and stuff, so there's a load of variety of stuff. Like there's like a dentist section. The dentist section is really cool because you go through like the reception bit, and then you go through like a shrinking corridor where it's essentially like the corridor starts out normal, but then it kind of goes smaller and smaller as you get through. And then when you get to the dentist room at the end, the floor vibrates like he's like using the drill, Such a cool effect, really good. There's also like a Victorian street bit where there's like a pyro effect, and then Crackerjack can like jump out at you and stuff. There's also like kind of like an outdoor section in like a shrubbery bit, where there's like some actors in like camouflage gear, which is really cool. And yeah, just really cool, really cool theme, really cool. Some really cool effects in there, really cool sets. And then yeah, like the final part is like you go through like this kind of like washing, like almost like washing line area where like Crackerjack can jump out different bits. Oh, there's also a really good bit as well where after the kind of walking pre-show, you get like kind of stuck in this cupboard where you have like kind of voiceover going off, and yeah, once that happens, there's kind of a really good juxtaposition where like another door opens, and you're in this kind of like kids TV set bit where it's like really kind of bright colours and stuff like that, and really light, and some like really kind of nice happy music. But then the next bit that you go into, it might be Tabitha's room, I'm not sure. But then there is also a bit where there's like a corridor that you go through or you go down, where it's really it's really kind of ominous. There's like kind of wind blowing through like the windows at the side, and then there's an actor which jump scares you, but it's like really quiet in that area, so that really helps with that a lot. So yeah, so as you can tell, I really like Insomnia. Yeah, it's the strongest thing that Burton Screamfest have. I think especially in its new location. I've seen videos of it in its previous location where it was. I think it works really well in the new location that it's in, and yeah, overall really good. Then there's like the Area 52 that they added last year, which it's less of a scare attraction, just more like a fun thing to do. It's essentially like paintballing like a load of alien characters that are kind of like off in the distance, like really big inflatable ones, like people wearing like inflatable costumes. But the best thing about it is the interaction from some of the other actors, and yeah, it's just really good interaction that they have, like really funny, really good interaction. I could keep saying good interaction all day long. Also the pre-show is done by someone who I recognise. I guess I can say the name. They're on Love to Explore sometimes. Kieran Quinn or Quinny. Who he does the pre-show. I got to briefly meet him on the Love to Explore that I actually did at Mike and Stacey's house. Yeah, and he was kind of on the panel for that when we were discussing Nemesis Reborn. And yeah, he seems like a really nice guy. And I actually listened to a podcast that one of the other Altonville actors did where they actually had Kieran on. And yeah, just some of the insight that they both had was really great, and about like scare acting and stuff like that. He just seems really knowledgeable and really experienced in that stuff. Final thing's the Psycho Circus, which is it's good, and I was actually kind of hopeful as well, because there's something in Doctor Who in my favourite story called The Great Show in the Galaxy where it's called the Psychic Circus, so I was hoping it was going to be similar, but it's kind of more like it uses like there's basically like this main kind of actor who essentially kind of like summons these different creatures, and there's three of them. There's kind of like one who's like a barbarian kind of like strong man, another one who's like I believe like a banshee or something like that, and then a third one that's a scarecrow. And essentially they do like a load of like, it's almost like Circus of Horror kind of stuff where it's like they do like different stunts and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know, I kind of wanted a bit more of like a character-led thing to it. They don't really have much character, any of the characters don't really have character, and so yeah, it makes it a little bit bland in a way. So yeah, I was kind of hoping that they'd have like a little bit more character to them. But still really good show, really good performances and stuff. And yeah, just really solid with that. And I wish there was like a bit more like interaction like in the audience and stuff like that. That would have been cool. But yeah, overall Burton Screamfest, and also it's like got some rides and stuff like that, some like carnival games, live music, roaming actors, which were really good. So yeah, overall like it's a nice little event. I certainly think it's worth going to like at least once. But yeah, it's still like it doesn't reach Towers' levels. I would also say it doesn't really reach Thorpe's levels as well. Like I don't know, like. It's just I think you can tell like it is on a budget, but I can't really blame them for being on a budget. Like like if you don't have the money, then you can't make it look a lot better. So yeah, but yeah, yeah, I think it's a nice little event. It's quaint. It's a nice, quaint event with some nice scares. The actual quality of the scares and the scare attractions are good. But yeah, you can kind of tell it's on a bit of a budget at times. Also, they need to put like more sawdust down in a lot of areas because it can get very muddy while you're there. And yeah, if I go this year, and especially with the costume I'll be wearing, yeah, I'd hope that it doesn't get too much mud on the shoes. Let's just say that. So anyway, that's all the ones from the last time answered, and now I've got probably about 55 minutes to answer the rest. Or at least try to. As I can always like move them to the next Power Wash Sim video that I do if I need to. Right, so here's a good question. This will be a fun one. Do I think that American scare attractions or American scare events are good? Good question. Because yeah, I have possibly some very controversial opinions on this, which actually on this podcast that I listened to last night that Kieran Quinn was on, he actually echoed my sentiments massively, which is I think it's mainly to do with Halloween Horror Nights, because I haven't done any American scare attractions, and I haven't seen many either. The main ones I've seen are Halloween Horror Nights, obviously, because, it's the biggest ones, it's the most famous scare attractions. I think, as Kieran described, it was like the fact that American, with Halloween Horror Nights, they have to get through a much more of a throughput there, which means they have to do kind of like a conga line system, or like, as I call it, like a conveyor system, where essentially you constantly have guests going through. You don't batch them. You don't have them like, you don't have them in groups. They just keep going through constantly, and that means the scares have to be very limited to not really much interaction. They normally have them going off on sound effects. Normally the actors won't speak. It's essentially, as Kieran also said, it's like having animatronics doing it rather than scare actors. It's not scare acting, it's scaring. And scaring can work for a lot of people. I think there's a lot of people who really love Halloween Horror Nights because they're just going there for scares. They're not going there for scare acting. Basically, I'm much more picky when it comes to my scares, and yeah, it's more scaring. And don't get me wrong, because the thing is, half of it's really good, which is the production values, like the sets, all the effects and stuff like that. The costumes look amazing. Like, they look really good, really high quality. Can't judge them on that. Like, they literally use studios to put their kind of like studio hangers and stuff like that to actually have their mazes in. So I can't blame them on that. It's not scare acting. It's scaring. Which just takes away from that immersion, because it feels like something like Jewel, for an example, where it's like, it is like animatronics coming out, like kind of jumping out, saying boo, and then going back behind a curtain, which, don't get me wrong, is scary. And I think if I went to Halloween Horror Nights, I would be scared. But at the same time, it's like, it's not immersive. It takes away from that immersion. I don't feel like these are real characters. I feel like they're like animatronics, or just people in a costume jumping out and saying boo with a loud sound effect going off. And yeah, and sometimes it isn't even like going back behind a curtain. Sometimes it's just like going back in place and pretending to be a mannequin. Like, it's just, yeah, I don't know, it just takes away from that immersion. But I don't think that's the case for all American scare attractions. Like, I've seen, like, the other one I've mainly seen is, I think it's like Knott's Berry Farm, like Knott's Scary Farm. And they can do it. They do actual scare acting. They actually, they do have some impact scares. And impact scares can work. Like, a lot of Halloween Horror Nights is impact scares, where essentially it's like the actor jumps out, goes back in really quickly. And that can work. But I feel like, like UK attractions, more kind of budget attractions, and places like Knott's, is it Knott's Berry Farm or Scary Farm? I'll call it Knott's Scary Farm. Yeah, Knott's Scary Farm, like, they do it really well. They do it as scare acting. They can have impact scares, but they can also do it, as scare acting, where you actually have a bit of character to it, a bit of interaction. Even if it's just like a quick second where like they just shout something, like, it's still interaction, actually staying in the area a little bit more rather than just jumping out and going back into place. But again, I just think that's the way that Halloween Horror Nights works, that they do it on a conveyor system rather than batching, and it means that you can't have those scares. But also the problem is, when I've seen on like press POVs, because that's really the only thing I've seen. I've only seen POVs of it, and from those press POVs, you'd think they'd have to be the best. Press run-throughs are normally the best ones. But the problem is that even on those ones, you can see some of the jump scares are out of time because they have to do it on a time thing. And so if you're at the wrong point in the group, if you're at the wrong point on the conveyor, it means you're going to get the jump scare at the wrong time, and it means that, yeah, it's just going to completely ruin that immersion. You know, it feels more like a Ghost Train or something like Duel, where this kind of like timed scenes rather than something that feels real, you know, and I think that's my problem with it. And yeah, I know that a lot of people probably think that's controversial because it's like, oh, but the production values. Yeah, I think you could, as Kieran Quinn said in that podcast, like, you can have really low production values but still have some really good immersive scares. You know, I think Burton Screamfest is a great example of that, where, yeah, it may not be the biggest production values, but it can still have some good immersion. You know, I sometimes do still feel like I'm really in these environments, so especially with Insomnia, which is great. So yeah, that's my opinions on American Scare Attraction. I mean, yeah, it was saying they were good. I think there are good parts to them. I think certainly places like Knott's Scary Farm, that, you know, they do it really well, and still have a very good budget. Probably not up to the level of Universal, but they still have a really good budget. You know, really good production values. But yeah, just with Universal, the one half of like production values and all that stuff is great. The other big half of it that's missing is the scare acting, because it's just scares, it's not scare acting. So yeah, that's my opinion on scare attractions in the US. Don't get me wrong, I would love to go and do Halloween Horror Nights one day, and especially if we're getting Universal in this country, I would love to go and try it to see, you know, maybe my opinions might be different in person. But to me, yeah, it's just I go for the immersion. I don't just go for the scares. The scares are a big part of it, but also the immersion is also a massive part of it. So yeah, that's my opinion on that. Glad I could do a really long answer to that. Oh, here's a good question that I got. So in a way, this is kind of a bit of advice, which is good. I love giving advice on scare stuff. So as someone who's done Altonville a lot, which I have, I'm wearing the Altonville t-shirt today, do you recommend it to a scare newbie? I'm scared but really want to try it. Are the actors scarier than in other mazes? I've heard audio on YouTube, hopefully my audio. If you haven't watched the audio run-throughs I did of Altonville last year, they're really good quality, really great. Yeah, actors did a great job in there. I've heard audio on YouTube, and the girls in there sound really scary. They do a good job. The only other maze I've tried is Darkest Depths. So yeah, so I've been thinking about this because I do look at the questions before I answer them to try and have an idea of what I'm going to say. Yeah, so if you've only done Darkest Depths, because the thing is, I've had so Aaron, my Scare Seekers my Scare Seekers co-host, he normally says that you should probably go for the scariest maze first. Like, just go in for it. You'll see if you like it or not. Like he said, basically do Passage del Terror first. I completely disagree with that. Essentially, I think that if I did Passage del Terror as my first maze, I would have never become a scare enthusiast. I would have been too traumatized at the beginning, and yeah, I just wouldn't have been good with it at all. I think if you feel like you're going to be okay with scare attractions, yeah, go and do the scariest one first, go ahead. I think if you are tentative, work from least scary to most. I think Darkest Depths is a very good starting point. If you manage to get through that, then great job. Because Darkest Depths, despite being a family attraction, has some very good scares. You know, it is a good, solid scare maze. But yeah, I would say Altonville, it is, especially with Tiny's Revenge, it is on another level to the other mazes, where, especially with Tiny's Revenge, it goes much darker. It's not necessarily just the scares, it's also the theming, the tone, the storyline. Just physically, it is much darker, it's much harder to see. Yeah, and even with the original Altonville, it's on that level where it's just that everyone kind of knows that it's that little bit more scary. So I can see why you asked this question. But I would say that if you really want to try it, I would say try it. It is a good maze, but I would say work your way up. So this is just advice for anyone who's a bit tentative about doing scare attractions and wants to get into them. I would say work your way up. So I would start off with, honestly, really good attractions to start off with, the dungeons. So, you know, if you want to try and get a chance to do the Alton Towers dungeons before they close this summer, I'd give it a chance, but do some of the other dungeons as well. You know, there's other dungeons around the country. I'd highly recommend them. York's my favourite, but I would say the Alton Towers dungeon is a little bit less scary than the other ones. So if you wanted to try that one beforehand, I would highly recommend that. But yeah, go and do some dungeons, because despite them not being scare mazes, they do have some good scares. They have scare maze type scares in them, so I definitely recommend doing some dungeons. Then if you were to do Scarefest, the problem is we don't know what attractions are going to be on the lineup, and I believe the Attic and Darkest Depths won't be returning, I don't think. If the Attic and Darkest Depths do return, I would recommend doing Darkest Depths and Attic, but to be honest, before that, do the scare zones, because the scare zones are a really good way to get some kind of scare maze style scares and interaction without going through a scare maze, and you can do it when it's a bit lighter as well. The only thing I would say about scare zones is they do open later in the day, so if you want to get a good few scare run-throughs through and you want to do some earlier in the day, then obviously you won't be able to do the scare zones first. But if you want to do the scare zones first, Burial Grounds, if they add another scare zone this year as well, then do that afterwards. Then if Darkest Depths or a family style attraction does return, I'd do that first. And then obviously we don't know what the other maze is going to be, but then I would suggest doing Panic, because despite Panic being free roam, which is really kind of what makes it scary, the fact that you don't know where the actors are going to come from, they can touch you, they can drag you around places, I still think the tone of it's not scary. And you know, Daz Games' audience is kids, so you know, it's very much kind of made for kids in mind, even though, you know, some of the characters like the NPCs and stuff can be kind of scary. I think it's certainly less kind of dark and scary as Altonville can be, even with the original Altonville. And then I would suggest doing Altonville Tiny's Revenge. I wouldn't suggest doing the new mazes first, unless if it says it's a family maze, because obviously I can't judge on how scary those mazes are going to be. They might be scarier than Tiny's Revenge. Who knows? But yeah, I would say, I mean, yeah, because you said that, yeah, you're scared but you really want to try it. I would try it. It is a really good maze. The original Altonville, weirdly, there are some bits of the original Altonville I find scary, and some bits of Tiny's Revenge I find scary. Like, I feel like the skin masks were a bit scary in Altonville. The gas mask on Tiny, if you don't know, Tiny is, essentially the storyline is that the Knox family, who are the Skin Snatcher family from the original maze, have been taken by the police. Tiny's escaped capture, and he's basically out. He's got a load of new victims, and he's getting revenge because of his family being taken. And so, yeah, and Tiny, he wears a disguise in the maze, which essentially looks like the character from My Bloody Valentine, in the like kind of like boiler suit, gas mask, and like miner's helmet. And so, yeah, so I find that a little bit more creepy. If you find gas masks creepy, then yeah, there's a lot of gas masks in this maze. There's a section which used to be like the showers section, where like you'd see Grandad in the showers, and now they've taken what was the boiler section, which was essentially like a load of inflatable body bags with gas masks on them, which you'd have to kind of go through, and they've moved that to the showers section now. But the thing is, obviously they made it a lot darker, but also it looks, each of the kind of like body bags look exactly like Tiny, and so there's a Tiny actor who can hide in there really well and do some really good jump scares in there. So yeah, with that kind of stuff, those jump scares are definitely very intense. A lot of impact scares, very claustrophobic, not to the point where like you can't like squeeze through. Like it's claustrophobic as in like that claustrophobic, like, you know, you still got room to go through, but it is very close. And yeah, I would say Tiny is more kind of the threat in a way. He's more kind of the threatening character. So that's kind of the more scary one. You mentioned about the girls being quite scary. I would say they are scary. You do get some good scares, but I would say it's more interaction with like the cheerleaders and stuff. And they do a really good job. Obviously, Chloe, who I keep bringing up. Yeah, they do a really good job with interaction, and they do some really good scares, but I think it is more interaction with the cheerleaders in a way. That's kind of why I like it better in a way, because it gets some really nice interaction but also some really good scares with it. But they will get up very close to you. They might touch you a little bit. They don't do as much touching nowadays, but they might touch you somewhat. If you're like at the start of the pre-show, Tiny might like grab you into the maze. But for anyone who's scared about touching in mazes, the safest thing to know is that the actors are trained. They are trained to touch. They are trained on what to do, what not to do. So if they, for example, last year in the pre-show, for essentially with the pre-show, Tiny appears at the end of it and then beckons you into the maze. Last year, because they knew that I was going round and I was in the Skin Snatcher costume, the Tiny who was there like kind of grabbed my arm and dragged me into the maze, but it wasn't like he literally like, you know, pulled my arm. Like, you know, they're not rough with you is the point. Like with the original Alton, for example, with the Skin Snatchers, they more kind of like caress your face, like to feel your skin and stuff, because, you know, they're Skin Snatchers obviously. You know, in this one, the cheerleaders might get like right up close to you. I mean, Chloe, the amount of time Chloe got right up close to my face was great. You know, and yeah, you know, some of the actors might, you know, like maybe touch your legs or something like that, but it won't be anything extreme. It won't be anything too rough. So yeah, you don't need to worry about that. I think some things like survival games can be a little bit more rough, but yeah, that one, Panic isn't rough at all. With that, yeah, the touching at Alton Towers, I think, isn't too bad. So if you're worried about that, then it wouldn't be. But yeah, I would say work up through those mazes. So yeah, if you haven't done the dungeons, do some dungeons, or similar scare attractions. Then yeah, if there's a family maze this year, go and do the well, actually no, if there's scare zones, go and do the scare zones first. If you don't mind like waiting to do the mazes later in the day, if you want to do multiple runs, I would suggest doing the mazes earlier and later to give you time. But if you're not, do the scare zones first, do burial grounds first, because there's already videos that you can see online of that if you want to. And then if there's any new scare zones, go and do that. Then do any family mazes, even Trick or Treat Town. I mean, Trick or Treat Town kind of has some scares, sort of ish. Like, it has some little bits where like characters jump out of places, so you know, that can work. You know, I mean, I think it's worth doing once at least. And then yeah, scare zone, so dungeons, scare zones, any family attraction if they bill any as a family attraction. Then do Panic, even though yes, it is free roam. Some of the actors can be kind of scary. And the other good thing that I thought about with Panic as well is that the great thing about it is you can technically leave any time, because you have to get the symbols. But like, if you wanted to leave straight away, like, I'm sure there's normally like a host near the exit. Essentially, if you're going in, if you go like kind of like to the left side of the building, you'll find where the exit is. And like, there is usually like a host there, like, you know, kind of watching for people going out. But I'm sure if you said like, you know, you're not dealing with it well, they'd let you out at that point. And yeah, so really, that's a really good kind of first, not really an adult maze, but kind of like a more extreme maze, because you can go out at any time, technically. If you can find that exit, like, you can get out any time. It just means you won't get a score on the scoreboard, but, you know, you can do that. And, yeah, so I definitely recommend then doing Panic, and then before doing any new mazes, because obviously can't judge on them, do Altonville at that point. And yeah, have a good time, because it is a really fun maze. But just know it is a lot darker in storyline and tone. It's a lot physically darker because it's very hard to see, quite creepy, ominous, quite claustrophobic. As they not claustrophobic to the point where you can't move through, but like, it is claustrophobic. Like, the walls are quite near you, the actors can get quite near you, they will get up in your face. And there is a chainsaw ending. You will hear the chainsaw ending in the queue line, so that won't be a shocker. If you want a way of dealing with chainsaws, just know they cannot hurt you. The chainsaws cannot have blades on them, otherwise that would be a health and safety nightmare. So that's the reason why chainsaw endings and chainsaws don't really affect me that much, because it's like, I know they're not real. They do make me run away, but I feel like it's kind of cheating, because it's like, you know, I'm going to run away from a chainsaw, of course. But, they cannot hurt you with a chainsaw, because, you know, it's a chainsaw, you know, it's they can't have a real one, so it's basically, it makes the sound of a chainsaw, but it doesn't have any actual blades on it or anything. It doesn't have like any bits that can cut you. They might come up close to you with it, you know. I remember at Burton Screamfest they like sometimes like put it between your legs and stuff. Yeah, but the point is they can't really hurt you with it. And so it's just knowing that, really. And it's really quite a short chainsaw section, to be honest. The better thing about it is like when there's an actual jump scare that comes with it, where like you don't know when it's going to come in, like the actor comes out of a side bit. But you know, I think it's definitely worth doing. Like, if you like the vibes of it and you want to do it, I'd highly recommend doing it. It's certainly the best thing on the Towers lineup right now. I do think I prefer the original a little bit better, but Tiny's Revenge is certainly a really good sequel to it, and I'd highly recommend doing it. So I hope you have a good time going down the mines this scare season if you do decide to. Right, next question. This is going to be a difficult one to choose. So what's the best, scariest moment you've had in a maze, or your favourite moment? It's kind of a two-part question. Not that, but there's another question after this. So yeah, what's the best, scariest moment I've had in a maze? Very, very hard to pick. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you the scariest. Yes, the scariest moment I've had in a maze was in Passage del Terror, where there's certain points where you stop off, and there's a bit where you stop off in a bit called the Little Shop of Horrors. It's not like from the musical. It's essentially like, you know, kind of a shop of like horror, you know, like dolls, toys, stuff like that. And so you get a bit of like an interaction with an actor, and then he opens up like a doorway behind like a set of shelves. and you go down this corridor with these curtains on it. At the moment, I believe they've got Ghostface in that bit, so there's like some Ghostface masks on the curtains. Oh god, I have to hold on. Yeah, I've got some magma blocks. Good. And so yeah, so in that section, you walk through and you see Ghostface at the end of this corridor, or whichever character's there. And so yeah, so you see him at the end of this corridor, and you know, you think, oh, he looks scary. But then as you go to the end of that corridor, Ghostface then disappears to the side and you don't know where he's gone. Turns out that's because that's actually a mirror at the end of that corridor, and then he actually comes in from the side and there's a very loud sound effect and he's right in front of you, which is genuinely the most terrifying jump scare I've ever had in a maze. It is absolutely terrifying. And I kind of love and hate it at the same time. Because, yeah, it's genuinely... Passage del Terror is one of those mazes where it's very on the edge of me enjoying the scares. Like, it's so scary that I'm kind of like, do I enjoy this? I do. I mean, it is very good scare acting. I think, as I said, possibly one of the previous videos, it's just that... It's that level of immersion and storyline that's kind of lacking a little bit, but the scares are brilliant and fantastic. So, yeah, definitely can't knock into that. I'm thinking as well, what I might actually do is instead of filling in this bit straight away, I might actually start laying some of the foundations because I really want to get onto that this episode. Right, so let's just get out of this bit for a second. Which way am I going? This way? Please don't die. There we go. But, yeah, that's definitely the scariest jump scare I've ever had in a maze. That one in Passage del Terror, absolutely terrifying. I believe it used to be a vampire as well, because I believe Aaron said about it being a vampire when he went. But, yeah, terrifying jump scare, terrifying maze. Best moment I've had in a maze, though. God, it is kind of hard to choose, because there's just been so many over the years. I mean, I guess one would be... I guess that the first ever jump scare I ever got in a maze, which was when I did Altonville. I mean, it's the reason why I love Altonville so much. It was my first ever maze that I did, thinking it was going to be, oh, you know, because Subspecies is like the extreme one and Project 42 is the new one and Welcoming I have to do in the evening. Altonville sounds fun, and I didn't realise how fucking terrifying it would be. But yeah, the first jump scare I got was after the kind of boiler section with like all the boiler suits and stuff, and the inflatable section, as I sometimes call it. Literally turned the corner and then got an impact scare from one of the snatchers, like one of the masked snatchers, and genuinely when I was walking after that bit, my legs were physically shaking because, yeah, it was the first ever jump scare I had in a maze. And yeah, I think it was a really, like, that was kind of like the first moment I really got into something scary, because I say I'm a wimp in most things, and yeah, just that moment really got me into it. But yeah, just trying to pick a favorite moment is very difficult because I've just done so many mazes over the years. I think another one in Altonville was during COVID, when they didn't have like the indoor Sister pre-show. It was basically just Sister just like ushered you into the elevator bit, and because in COVID you had to be in separate groups, it meant that this was 2020 by the way, in COVID, because you had to be in separate groups, it meant that me on my own, I had to go in on my own, and being in that elevator section with no actors coming out like straight away was so unnerving, so terrifying, but I loved it. You know, I thought it was really cool. So yes, that's probably best moments, or favorite moments, I guess. Kind of one in the same, really. Yeah, that's really all I can think of. And then the second part to that question is, what's the worst moment or worst maze I've ever done? You see, worst maze I've ever done, I'd have to say I'm kind of in the middle on survival games or Welcoming, because the Welcoming, I think it honestly, again, it's kind of like a scare zone in a way. I think the problem is it didn't really have too many scares, and the problem was I only did it once, and I did it during the day as well, which meant that, well, not during the day, but like, you know, when it was still light in the evening, I didn't like book it late enough, and so it meant I didn't really get as many scares. But then with survival games, it's just the fact that you're just out so quick, and the theming and storyline I'm not really that invested in, and yeah, and as I say, it's just very hard to get a good run in free roam mazes. So it's between Welcoming and survival games. Maybe Creed Farm, for the fact that I think it works better as a scare zone than a scare maze, and there's not really too many scares. So it's between those three. I would have to say probably survival games, to be honest, even though there's a lot of budget that's gone into it, and I get that, and it does have somewhat of a storyline. It's not a storyline that I'm really that interested in, and you're out too quick. And the theming, the theming's all right, but it's very sporadic and scattered about, and not very kind of like meaningfully placed, which means it's it's just very kind of just very kind of just I don't know. I feel like also with when I've kind of reviewed survival games as well, it's I've kind of become more kind of like passionate about how much I don't like it, rather than with the welcoming. I was kind of like, meh, it's meh. I had to just take some more of that nasal spray stuff because I'm finding it hard to breathe while I'm talking. So probably survival games. Worst moment in a maze though. God, it's hard to think. I mean, the main thing that came to mind was in trailers sometimes. It's mainly when like seeing the actors not really like, when the actors kind of like aren't, when they're kind of like going off to a rat run and they're not in character. I've sometimes caught that a lot in trailers, even like sometimes the actors like partially out of costume as well. Just sometimes it just breaks the immersion a little bit. One thing though, not from a scare maze, but from, does it say? Yeah, it says mazes specifically, but not from a scare maze, because really there haven't really been too many like moments where I've been like worse. Unless if you count the ghost face jump scare, which technically the worst moment, but very good jump scare. The worst moment that I've had, because if we count the dungeons as a scare attraction, there was actually a moment in the Warwick Castle dungeon, which just it was kind of the worst kind of experience I've had like in one of those types of attractions, where essentially, so we went with the Warwick Castle dungeon. There are other reasons why it's not really my favourite, partially because like it feels like a lot of the effects are out of date, and it is a bit more claustrophobic, but I think it's still, it makes it feel kind of more out of date in a way. But then there was also an incident that happened in the torturers section. So we went into the torturers room, and the actor playing him, he made an acting choice with it, which is like, kind of playing it a little bit more kind of monotone in a way, which I think works, to be fair, for the torture. Like, you can do it in a very kind of monotone way. But anyway, so then, as you know, in the dungeons, they pick out a guest from the audience to kind of interact in the kind of scene, and he picked a guy, kind of like middle-aged guy, like, looked quite buff in a way, and but the guy didn't want to go and do it. And so instead of, normally what you do is you might egg them on a little bit, go on, come in the chair. But then if not, like if like after like 4 or 5 seconds you can't get them into that chair or onto that scene, you just move on to someone else. But this actor decided, nope, I'm going to keep pushing this. And it's like, no, I'm not going to choose someone else. It's like, oh, you paid in here to come and have some good scares. Like, so you paid in here to come take part in it. And it's like, for one thing, that's wrong. Like, no, you're not coming here to take part necessarily. You are coming in here to have a spooky time. That doesn't mean you necessarily should have to take part. Like, some people just want to watch in the background and don't want to have to, take part in them things. They might have anxiety where they don't want to go up and do that stuff, I'm fine with it. That doesn't mean everyone is, But then it was also just the fact of like, oh, you paid to come here to do this. It was just very unprofessional, and genuinely kind of like triggered my anxiety, because I was like, it was very awkward, very uncomfortable. And it wasn't just that, it was throughout the scene as well. Like, so in the torture scene, he gets you down in the chair, and then, he does like the different things, like tells you to get the tongue out for the tongue tearer. He tells you to get up out of the chair and like kind of lean over it for the hook. Kind of tells you like to put your hands over your head for like the chappy chopper. And this guy didn't want to do it. And again, he just kept like pushing him and, saying, oh, you paid to do this, don't ruin it for everyone else. And no, I'm not going to choose someone else because I chose you. And it's like, dude, you're just making it awkward for everyone else. It was just really unprofessional. And and it basically ruined the rest of my my tour through that dungeon, which is a shame. Because it was just really unprofessional, really, just really not great. Did not appreciate it much. So that's my kind of worst thing through a dungeon. To be honest, there hasn't really been many worse things through mazes, to be honest. I've had some pretty good interaction run through. Obviously, some like rowdy guests and some stuff like that, which has just been meh. No kind of specific examples that I can think of. That's the answer to those questions. Next, Oh, this is a good one. So this is a funny one as well. So someone asked, would you do an interview on the channel with any of the scare actors you know, like Chloe? That would be so cool to get the behind the scenes of what's going on. And I actually sent this to Chloe because, people interested in having her on. But the way that they spelt Chloe was Chol. And so from now on, I'm going to call Chloe Chol. Or sorry, because she has like the little kind of apostrophe with the it's like Chole, which is just so funny. But yeah, she very much appreciated that. But yeah, the answer to that question is very much I'm open to it, but it's very much when I'm ready to do that, because I feel like I need to kind of be a little bit more prepared and professional when, I mean, not really professional necessarily, but like I have social anxiety, so doing those kind of things, kind of being kind of, I'm fine with it like in a video just like this, but like, having someone else on, especially the fact is as well with Chloe, I have spoken to her a good amount over message, but to be honest, we haven't actually really spoken much in personal, like, talking like face to face in a way. So yeah, I'd need to get kind of used to that kind of stuff and, have enough kind of courage to like reach out to some of these actors, and not just like actors, like anyone, like reach out to Joe and talk about like Bob in jail, or talk to some of my other friends and stuff like that. But I think if I was going to do it, I'd maybe either do it like as a live stream, or do it in a live stream style where it's very unedited, just chatting, and not have it too formal as well. I wouldn't want it to be like, I might have like a few questions like prepared, but like mainly just have it kind of just be like just chatting, and literally chatting like however we want. Like we can chat like about why Chloe's name is actually Chol. We can just chat about that. We can chat about why her name's Chole, all we want. And yeah, not even necessarily have to like talk about scare attractions, just talk about whatever, and then have some audience questions where it's like, you guys can ask what you want to know, and then we can ask those stuff, and just have it be really, maybe an hour or two of just chillax talking about whatever the fuck we want. That's the way I would do it. It probably won't be coming anytime soon, but I'm open to doing it someday in the future. I think that'll be actually a really nice, cool idea. So thanks for the suggestion. It would probably be, though, if I ever got to maybe like a point where I'm like doing live streams or whatever, I don't know, maybe I will one day. It'd probably be like at that point, but I don't know whether the thing about doing it as a live stream would be that it would be difficult to, obviously get schedules arranged. So at least if I did it something as pre-recorded, then schedules can match up more, but also it means if I need to edit anything out, it can be edited out. So yeah, it means we can be just a bit more free with what we talk about. So yeah, but yeah, I'm open to it at some point. So I think I just need to build up a bit more of my own confidence in a way. So yeah, would love to do it one day though. So yeah, Chole. So funny. I was genuinely laughing my head off when I said that to Chloe last night. Then here's another question. Well, I'll go for this one. I was thinking should I do all the NGL ones first, but no, I got one on my Instagram story from Emma, who if you don't know who Emma is, you probably wouldn't. I haven't really mentioned her too much. I think I mentioned her in like really early Minecraft videos on the channel, but she was an old friend from college who I used to spend a lot of time with, and she asked, have I ever been to any of the Christmas events? I'm assuming she means the Towers Christmas events, and yes, I have a few videos on the channel where I recorded. I've never done like a proper vlog there, simply because I don't know, I probably just felt depressed at the time, just felt like, I just want to have like a chill out day. But yeah, I've been to the Christmas event, a couple, I think I've been to 2 of them. And yeah, it's just a chill out event. Unfortunately, last year I didn't go just simply because, for one thing, I didn't have the money really. But secondly of all, there was just fuck all at it, to be honest. They really downgraded on it last year. Literally, like, it was only CBeebies Land and Spinball Whiz are open. And even then, like, Spinball Whiz, I believe, was closed a lot of the time. Like, I think for the Christmas event, they need to add some more rides. Like, Curse at Alton Manor literally takes place at New Year's Eve. Like, come on, like, it's perfect timing for Christmas show. It's a perfect like festive ride, and they could even do what they did for Jewel and like have like a Christmas overlay. But also like Runaway Mine Train, that's a kid's ride. I even think like Wicker Man, you could have Wicker Man open with like the stuff in Mutiny Bay, that would work. But yeah, like I loved like the Lightopia stuff they did. Like unfortunately they went into like administration, so they had to like, they basically went bankrupt. But yeah, I did love going to Lightopia, and also just having like the festive music and stuff. It's just been really chill, just been really nice, calm. that's why I like the Christmas event. I hope they can add a little bit more to it this year, a bit more of a ride offering, not just the stuff in CBeebies Land, like a little bit more to it. Maybe have like a pantomime like outside of the hotel as well, because I know they used to have one that was actually on park. Have a few more shows, a bit more entertainment. Maybe do a new lights walk. Like maybe find a new company that can do it, because I really did like the kind of Lightopia thing that they did. I love just like walking through it on my own and like filming, and apart from the first time when my camera ran out of battery halfway through. But yeah, it was just a really nice chill time. Literally chill because it was freezing. But yeah, stutter. Stuttering. I do like the Christmas event, but yeah, you know, it's yeah, I think they definitely need to add a little bit more to it, but it's always chill. It's just a nice chill event. So yeah, so thanks Emma for that question. So next question is, well, it's not a question, it's another suggestion, which is, oh, and I think this is the last one. Excellent. I've got through it. So you should see if there's a Scare Maze quiz for you to answer during filming the vid, or try to set one up. So I'm assuming they mean like when filming one of these vids, try and do a Scare Maze quiz with. To be honest, if there was one, I'd probably do it as a separate vid. Like, I'd just do it as a vid on its own. I think once I did actually try to look for some Scare Maze quizzes, I didn't really find any. So, I mean, look, if one of the lovely people in my audience want to make a Scare Maze quiz or something like that, please send it over and I may do a video on it. Yeah, that'd be really cool to do, actually, and see how many I get right. Because, yeah, the only Scare Maze quiz I kind of did was at the Towers Times 20th birthday event. They had a quiz in the evening, like a big, massive quiz with loads of different sections. And when we got onto the Scarefest section, I just smiled at the rest. I was with like the VTO team and stuff. I just smiled at them. I was like, "This is my time to shine." And I think I pretty much got them all right. But I remember there was one where I had to actually question the quiz master because. Yeah, I think they asked a question about the boiler house or something like that, and then I had to ask like. It was something to do with like the location of the boiler house, like, you know, where the maze was located on park, and I had to ask which year do you mean, because it was originally at the hotels, but then it went to the Black Hole tent for its final year. So yeah, so I had to kind of like pick him up on that, and then I think it eventually said like what was the latest year or whatever. But yeah, but I think I got all the questions right on that. So yeah, you know, I'd love to try it. Obviously, there are some scare attractions I haven't been to, so I don't know everything. And I know some of the specific. I know a lot more of the specific years for like Scarefest and stuff than you know, Fright Nights or any other attractions like that. Especially a lot of the American attractions, I don't really know as much. But yeah, you know, if someone wants to make a quiz, you know, go ahead. I think the thing is trying to set one up myself. The problem is I'd know all the answers at that point, so there's not really much point in it if I know the answers. But yeah, you know, if one of you lovely people want to set up a Scare Maze quiz, more than happy to do that. Right, so that's all the questions now gone through. Thank God. No, I mean, but seriously, though, I do really appreciate like everyone, you know, bringing in their questions. It's really helpful. Gives me something to talk about. So yeah, so I think what I'll do is I'll just dig up a little bit more of this, and then I'll call that an episode. And luckily, I've done this all before lunch, so that's great. But yeah, just got to say as well, thank you all for watching and being very supportive, especially with the social medias as well. It's been very nice, and all the questions, new subscribers, and yeah, all the views on that Towers vlog. As I said, that was just yeah, it was really nice to get those in, you know. And I'd say, like, you know, 100 views within 24 hours. That was great. So yeah, good job on you guys. I hope it just wasn't like one person just constantly rewatching the video. Maybe it was just like Joe just constantly rewatching it because he's in it at the beginning. But yeah, and again, just massive thanks to Joe for yeah, meeting up with me at Towers. That was really great, and yeah, that was really lovely. So and as I say, go and visit Bodmin Jail. It's awesome. It's a really good attraction. I'd love to go, if I have the money, I'd love to go and visit again. So yeah, go and visit them at bodminjail.org. You can find out all the days. I believe it says on the website with lights out that it's only on Friday and Saturday, but from what I've heard, it's Thursday, Friday and Saturday in the evenings. I believe it's from like 6:30 onwards, I think, or yeah, I think it's 6:30 onwards, 6:30 to like 8:30 maybe, can't remember. It says on the website, and they have like slots every like 10 minutes for it. So yeah, definitely go there, book a few slots for that. They've got the Ghost Walk, Paranormal investigations and stuff like that. They've got a hotel there that you can stay at, and as I say, the main attraction on its own is just fantastic. So yeah, definitely go and visit Bodmin Jail. Go there, please, because yeah, it's a really great attraction. So yeah, yeah, that's all I can really talk about, isn't it? yeah, anything else I got planned? I guess I'd say maybe a trip at the end of May on my own for Towers. Obviously Pleasure Beach as well. Got Blackpool Pleasure Beach coming up, which will be great. Really, really interested to see what I think of that. And yeah, that's going to be exciting. And then yeah, just more videos, more Walton Files. I'd love to get through more of the Walton Files on the channel. That'll be the next video probably. More Power Simulator, more Minecraft. And yeah, so probably in the next video, as I'll probably keep, yeah, like, yeah, getting the foundations mainly laid for this. The main thing I'll do as well is like maybe start putting some of the wood in, and maybe start you know, putting some like the bits where the trees are going to be kind of like plotting them out, and then just yeah, digging up more dirt. Probably need to fill in this hole here as well, which is underwater, so that's helpful. And probably leads to the lake over there, which is yeah, that's not going to be helpful at all. In fact, might lead to this bit. No, this bit. Yeah, it might lead to this bit. But then that might also lead to the lake, so that won't be helpful. But yeah, so I'll just quickly build a cheval. And yeah, I got this just under 2 hours. So, and there's probably going to be shit that I'm going to cut out. So yeah, that's a good length. But yes, anyway, hope you all enjoyed another Minecraft video. At least the one that I'll probably call this one. Like I'll keep coming up with the names in the episode. We'll probably call this one Final Landscaping. Brackets for now, because there's probably going to be more landscaping for more things over time, just because I like landscaping shit. So yeah, let's build a cheval. Also, I realised as well in the latest update for Minecraft as well, just one last thing I'll say is that they've got armadillos as well, and they look adorable. Like, because I went into the Minecraft world I'm with on Realms with the Joneses, and yeah, I just went in the house and like they got armadillos now. So yeah, they're adorable, and apparently like different like skins for wolves and stuff, which is really cool, and wolf armor. So yeah, that's cool. So might have to do that at some point. Find an armadillo. So anyway, I am now going into madness. So yeah, next video should be the Walton Files, going over Boozoo's Ghosts. So that's going to be good. What I mean, if you loved the Mysterious House reaction I had, you're going to love Boozoo's Ghosts, because that one's just as scary, but only over a longer, prolonged period of time. It's like a 40-minute video. So yeah, just imagine the scares I got from the Mysterious House, but over 40 minutes. So yeah, that'll be fun. And then after that, Minecraft, and then could be Pleasure Beach. That's in a few weeks. So yeah, a lot of stuff to be excited about on the channel. So yeah, I'll probably do another post for the comments and stuff before the Power Simulator one. So yeah, till the Walton Files Boozoo's Ghosts. I will see you next time. Bye.